Let's talk about what happens when you have your first session with your group of students. I'm going to give you a basic structure and agenda for how your session should flow. This is video 3 in the series of small group planning. In my last 2 videos, I talked about the logistics involved, the planning process, and then I talked about what resources that I use for my small groups and how to give them those cute little names. Welcome to my channel. My name is John, and I'm a school counselor that helps you plan your school counseling program and make sure that it runs smoothly. So in every session that I have with students, I always start off with a fun and engaging icebreaker. This sets the tone for the meeting, and it's a fun and engaging way for students to just relax and understand what's going to happen in our session. So one that I usually use, especially in the beginning, involves M&Ms or Skittles. I go to the store, get some bite-sized Skittles or M&Ms, and pass each one of them out to the students. I instruct them to open up their package and count the color that they have the most of, and then that aligns with whatever question that they're going to answer. I create specific questions aligned with the color of each candy. I always start off with fun questions like, what superpower would you like to have if you had a power? And this makes sure that those students get comfortable and it breaks the ice. That's why it's called an icebreaker. Now we move on to our group norms. It's always a good idea to set the tone and expectation for what things you will and will not allow in your group, but I always make sure that I keep it to 3 very simple norms and I explain the rationale, like we're gonna be respectful and listen to other people and not interrupt while they're talking. Whatever we say in this room stays in this room. So most times when I do small groups, we don't talk about really personal or confidential things, but still I don't want students to leave that session thinking that somebody's gonna go back and say everything that happened in the meeting. That doesn't make people feel comfortable and it makes them not want to open up. Now, most times I encourage them to not share anything too personal or confidential in our small group sessions, but I do tell them, if you need something that you need to talk to me about one-on-one, we can talk right after our group. I don't want to shut them down, but I do want them to feel safe and supported, and I also want to give them the time that they need in order to express themselves. Because a lot of times when you're doing a small group, you only have about 25-30 minutes, and so we don't want one person to monopolize all the time. One great way to encourage students to participate in the setting of your group norms is to have them create the norms. Not only does it get them engaged, but it also helps them to take ownership of that small group so that everything flows well. The next thing I do is I give some type of pretest. You can do this in a couple different ways. You can do just like a quick check for understanding. You can send out a Google form talking about whatever the topic is, but you always want to start with some type of pretest. So at the end, when the small group is over, you can give that same test as a post-test and see what the students learned from the process. It's a great way to collect data, but it also helps you to see if your small group was effective. So next on the agenda, we talk about the purpose for our meeting for the day. Like for example, let's say today we're having a small group for learning what our anger management triggers are. I want students to be able to understand the connection between knowing what their triggers are so that when they happen, they'll be prepared with whatever tools they need in order to make sure they take care of themselves. One thing that I realized that's really crucial to education right now is students have to know the why for the things that they're learning. It helps them to be more invested and understand what's going on. Then you do whatever engaging activity you're going to have for that session. So a lot of times we make it fun and engaging by playing games. So in a more recent session that I've done, we played Twister and I connected with our zones of regulation. So it was a really fun activity. And at the end, students were able to understand the connection between the 4 zones of regulation and, what they can do in order to recognize those signs. I've also done this with Uno too, playing Uno and with the zones of regulation. And the last thing that you want to do is close out the group. You can, if you have time, you can have a student go and share what their reflections are for what they learned for that day. So you also want to give them an upcoming topic for the next session so that they are excited and pumped and ready for the next time that we all meet together. And then we dismiss. Is there something you heard in this video that you would like more information on? Drop it in the comment section and I'll make another video on that specific topic. I want you to make sure that your small groups run successfully and that they are fun. Small groups don't have to be stressful when you know what you're doing and you've gotten into a flow and routine, and I want to make sure you are prepared. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that bell notification so you're aware when I post new videos. And in the meantime, if you missed video 1 or video 2 in this series talking about small groups and how to plan for them, be sure to check out these videos on the screen.